Leeds 0, Newcastle 0. A very good point for us and not one that I was expecting. I was going into the game thinking we're going to get walloped. They had a few big players out, but we also had a few big players out. What was the standout for you today?
The standout for me was just making yourself hard to beat. You go to Arsenal, you don't expect anything at the Emirates, but it was a little bit embarrassing, with how easy it was. One thing that was like a big standout for me was the route one, ping it to Nemecha and flick on stuff like that, as opposed to like dilly-dallying in his own box where we got caught out against Arsenal a few times, didn't we?
Yeah.
So that was good.
Nemecha had a fantastic game. Yeah. It's the best I've seen him play. Obviously, he came on and he bagged that penalty in the first game. But in terms of hold-up play, and especially against the Newcastle defence, there's a lot of big lads in there, been able to win a fair few balls, hold it up. There was a few passes that went astray, but you'd expect that. He's not started really, has he? He was good. And then, to be honest, Calvert-Lewin, after putting in a horror performance against Sheffield Wednesday in the Cup, came on as a substitute and did very well.
He carried the ball quite well. He made himself available, and it was kind of like a like-for-like change, as you can ping it up to him, and you can kind of, you can gamble off, like flick-ons and shit like that.
It feels like a bit of a reset for me, because after the Sheffield Wednesday game, I felt so unbelievably negative. Everything just seemed like doom and gloom. And that performance today, you said it a few times when we was in Elland Road, it felt like a bit of a statement from the team where it was like, all right, we can at least put in a good performance.
And it's one of them that I said to you as well. It's about, in the Premier League, it's about adaptability. Even from like a management standpoint, you've got to come into these games against different teams, and it's not like the same thing over and over and expect doing the same thing and expecting a different result. It's kind of we'd set up differently. Obviously, a few of them were forced changes. I just mean in terms of game plan, like I said, going back to pinging it forward, working off flick-ons and stuff like that. It was basically, it's what you've got to do. It's what you've got to do.
Another player who was playing against his former team today, Longstaff, had a fantastic game in the middle of the park. £10 million, a pretty good deal. I think it's one of those signings we all look at and go, all right, yeah, that's fine. But today, he was putting himself about really well, especially to say we had Ampadu and Tanaka missing in the middle of the park. That midfield gelled together so well.
Yeah, I think that's our strongest, obviously our strongest suit, isn't it, really? Because with two key players out, and your midfield can still look as good as that. Longstaff, obviously it's small sample size against like Sheffield Wednesday. He didn't look great, don't get me wrong, but who did? I think today he obviously showed why we've brought him in. It's Premier League experience, can really come into his own in the middle of the park, and it's kind of gives you a little bit of easiness, you know what I mean? He knows what he's doing.
And I must admit, even with the Sheffield Wednesday game, I don't know how many times we're going to mention that because it was just a depressing fixture on it. But
it was a bad week, mate, yeah.
Every game so far, bar Arsenal, which I kind of count as it doesn't matter that much to me because I knew we were going to get pumped. Yeah. But the defence, bar that, has been really good in every game, keeping a clean sheet against Everton. The goal we conceded against Sheff was very unlucky. It was a Darlow mistake. Yeah. And then keeping a clean sheet today against Newcastle is really good. Obviously, there were some question marks around Perry for some of the Arsenal goals, but he did everything he had to do today. Kemen claimed it from a corner, which we've not seen a keeper do successfully for a long time.
It's crazy. Anything like that kind of instills confidence into the Elland Road crowd because of what we've actually had to put up with over the past couple of years. But I think going back to that, it's not even just not conceding goals, it's not conceding clear-cut chances either. I feel like the XG against us, even like today and even the Everton game, there was never many phases of that game where I thought, hang on a minute, we might concede here. Which is really just to kind of come away from the week that we've had and re-solidify and do that. I think it was really important.
Yeah, defensively we've been fantastic, but the attacking aspect of our game is what worries me massively. I think I sent the lineup to you before the game and just said I don't really see how we can score here, and it's such a shame because in the Championship Dan James is fantastic and you can still see him beat a man every now and then in the Prem, and obviously he's still got the pace. Same with Nonto in the Championship, he was fantastic, but I just struggle to see how we're going to get goals because I don't think that they're quite at that top level where they can get past a lot of Premier League fullbacks.
I mean, it goes back to what I was saying about us not conceding clear-cut chances, but we're not making them either. So we're going to have a few games this season that, realistically, unless something drastic happens in the last couple of days of the window, are going to be like that because we've not got like a needle mover in the middle of the park. I say in the middle of the park, just in the final third. We've not got anybody for me that's going to take the game by the scruff of the neck and create that.
I agree.
We're kind of just relying on. Look at that penalty against it. That's the only goal we've scored this season. Like we've not scored from open play. I really do rate how solid we look. Don't get me wrong. That was like the first thing that we showed up on. Makes it hard to beat. That's why the Arsenal result was disappointing. But then where are these goals going to come from? Because then I said to you, didn't I? If we go 1-0 down, where do you go from there?
Yeah, it's tricky. It's annoying as well because we were both saying Metro had a good game today. Calvert-Lewin came on, looked all right. I don't think Perrault's going to cut it in the Premier League at any point. I know he's always scored goals in every season he's played in the Championship. Yeah. He just looks too slow for the Premier League. And I like him for some aspects of his game. I think his passing's quite good. Like, it was better than Nemetcha's today, for example.
He was okay, yeah. In the game against Everton, his link-up in the initial 30 minutes, like the first 30 minutes of the game, he did actually gel into it quite well. But
I think I'd prefer to see him try a number 10 role at some point. I know that's probably not what he'd want to do.
I could picture it. Or he might work quite well as a 2 instead of a lone striker.
Or he can play off someone a little bit.
Because the thing is with Peru, like, you lose so much putting him on his own up front because he'll just come in and collect the ball. Whereas then who's on the last man? Like, who's in the box? Who's putting himself about? Like, it's not him, is it?
The subs today got a little bit of hate when they came on, as would be expected when it's the 70th minute and Daniel Farke's bringing on Aronson and Harrison to try get a goal. To be honest, I actually thought they both did really well. Aronson, there was a few moments where he was a little bit negative with the ball, but he was pressing a lot. And Harrison, I actually thought was fantastic.
He did look really good, to be completely honest. I said to you, though, 70th minute of a game, we're bringing on Harrison and Aronson, and we've just let Laji Ramazani go. Like, it does not look good, does it? But
how do you feel about that Ramazani opportunity? It feels missed, doesn't it? Because whenever I think he had something like 8 goal involvements in just under 1,000 minutes last year in the Championship, which is a very good return. He went and got an assist in his debut yesterday for Valencia.
Yeah, he did, yeah.
Do you think that we're going to regret that one?
I mean, potentially, yeah. We're sat here talking about we've solidified, but we need a needle mover in the final third of the pitch, and he's exactly what that kind of could have been. We don't know the ins and outs. We don't see them training, but there's obviously no kind of relationship between him and Farke. He's never really trusted him fully.
Yeah, it angers me a little bit, just because
it does me as well. Yeah.
Given today's game, it's like we're putting a good performance, so it's quite harsh to say this, but let's say if it doesn't go so well for Farke in the next 5-10 games and he ends up leaving, I just have a feeling that Ramazani would have been a player that a different manager might have been able to make a lot out of.
Yeah, definitely. I think Leeds were bartering for a callback option in the loan agreement, isn't it? Like there's an option to buy at the end of it, not an obligation, because Leeds, I'm pretty sure. I feel like whilst Laji Ramazani's under contract at Leeds, he lasts probably maybe longer than what Farke does.
yeah, it could be true.
That's the harsh reality of the Premier League. Like, realistically, we've done well today. It was good to see it, but then we've got 2 games after the international break. We've got Fulham and Wolves, is it?
Yeah, I think so. I know it's Fulham. I'm not sure who's after that.
You get 0 points from them 2 games, and then people are calling for your head. So I don't know. It's weird, but I'm disappointed by that one. I am.
Yeah, it can change very quickly. But a word on Newcastle today. I don't think they troubled us that much. I appreciate they put a lot of energy down in that Liverpool game, and they were down to 10 men. I don't know what I think of them, really. I think they'll probably be in and around the top 6 again, but I don't think today was a good example of them at their best by any means. And Elanga came on and was god-awful, which the Elland Road crowd loved.
They're obviously missing an out-and-out striker, which they've signed, but obviously he wasn't eligible for today, was he? And they've had a few key players missing, like we did as well, let's not forget. But I don't think that was a representation of what's to come for them this season, not at all. They're a Champions League club, you know. They've got big players, great manager. I feel like we probably played them at Elland Road, the best time you'd want to, and we got a point out of it, and I'm more than happy with that.
Yeah, a very good result for us. But one other piece of news that seems to be developing is it looks like we're going to sign Gus Hamer from Sheffield United. Would you be happy with that?
I'd be happy with it. I would be. Yeah, I mean, it goes back to what we're saying, a needle mover, somebody that can make something happen in the final third of the pitch. That's what we're so clearly lacking.
Yeah, I've seen he's quite clinical in when he actually gets in front of goal.
Good on set pieces.
Really good on set pieces. There's a lot of us Leeds fans complaining at the minute that one of our tallest players, Anton Stack's taking corners. Yeah. If Hamer could step on that, and then we've got Stack, Struick, potentially Bivol, Rodon. We've got a lot of big players. You've
got nobody under 6'2" in that box attacking the ball. Do you know what I mean? It's we've got to start capitalising, and the marginal gains. Like, literally, you've got to focus on stuff like that, because a team like us just promoted. things like that can be the difference between staying up and getting relegated.
Yeah, and Hamer has been fantastic in the Championship. He was Sheffield United's best player
he did
in the
well
Premier
in the
League.
Premier League. Yeah,
It seems like a very smart signing for me. I appreciate there's a lot of rumours and kind of murmurs that he's a little bit overweight or a little bit lazy or whatever.
He's played about 80 games in past 2 seasons, so it's nonsense. Do you know what I mean? But he might just play 70 minutes of a game, and he's the difference maker in that 70 minutes. But not all players are going full tilt for 90 minutes. Do you know what I mean? It's ridiculous, and the level that they're playing at, it's really hard to do that.
Yeah, well, I'm buzzing after today anyway. Thank you very much for watching. Please remember to hit like and subscribe.